Yo, what's good? You already done know what it is. It's your girl, Just Kimmy, and I'm out here. If you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're already a subscriber, Wagwan brethren, you already done know. I appreciate all the love and support. What I'm going to be speaking about in today's video is recent controversy that has been happening here in Korea. And before I start this video, I just want to say that I have been living in Korea for more than 3 years now, and I do not in any sense generalize all Koreans in this kind of fashion or in any fashion whatsoever. I have been blessed and I have been fortunate enough that I have met very genuine and very kind individuals here in Korea, Koreans as well, that has absolutely helped me so much that I don't know how to even repay them. Like, they're like my family here. So this video is not to put Koreans on blast or to even call out anything. It's just what has been going on right now in Korea, just to keep you guys informed on the issues that are going on. So what I'm going to do is we're going to look at this issue. The issue that I'm going to be focusing on today is blackface in Korea, and whether it is ignorance or if it was racism. And I actually found this really helpful Instagram post that really sums up what has been going on very well. So I'm going to use their words in order to give you guys the information. The 29-year-old Ghanaian TV personality expressed outrage last week after a picture of students from Ujibu High School dressed up as Ghana dancing pallbearers surfaced online, according to Korea Herald. Otri called out the photo of students in blackface, describing it as very offensive and not funny at all. There have been so many instances, both on and off air, where people paint their face black here in Korea and they think it's funny. It's not funny, and I'm highly against it and highly disappointed, he wrote in English. It is truly unfortunate and saddening that this is occurring in the year 2020, he said in his now deleted Instagram post. As a black person, black people are very offended by such actions. I understand you wanted to reenact the culture, but painting the face was not needed. I wish there aren't such actions in Korea. Please, let's respect each other's cultures. However, social media users reminded Otri about the moment he did a slant eye gesture in an episode of JTBC's Abnormal Summit in 2015 when he participated in the Ugly Face competition. Otri took down his Instagram post following the backlash. He updated his apology in Korean on August 7th and said he had no intention of humiliating the students. I had gone too far in expressing my opinion, and I apologize for using their picture without their consent. He also admitted that he was unaware of the hashtag #TKpop, a derogatory expression used on social media when discussing Korean pop culture. I had received a big love for a long time in South Korea, and I believe I was indiscreet this time, he said. I apologize again. I will become a more educated person. Despite the criticism, Otri did receive support for his objection to blackface with the hashtag #IStandWithSamOtri. And first, I'm going to talk about the boys and their blackface. I personally believe that they did not mean any harm, and they also are pretty ignorant. I'm pretty sure the high school kids, they don't know the harm that they're doing. But at the same time, we can't just let it slide. You know, we have to tell them, like, hey, like, this is not okay, and some people might be offended. I definitely understand that in Korea, the foreigner percentage is very low. So obviously they're not going to be educated about these things, and I don't expect the Korean government to, you know, implement this kind of education into their, you know, their curriculum. That's just, there's not enough foreigners in order for that to happen. But I think what we can do is call out these situations, not to shame or to blame anyone, but as like an education purpose. So I think that because of the hashtags he used in his post, what Sam used in his post, it kind of came off as though he was trying to shame these boys. And you know, they're young and he didn't blur their faces. He was kind of putting the whole blame on these boys, which I don't necessarily agree with. What I would have done, maybe if I was in that position, is I would have just used what has been happening to educate Koreans. Like, I would have been something like, you know, it saddens me that this photo is going around, but here's a little bit of information on blackface and why you shouldn't do it, and why, you know, it makes me sad, or I feel kind of upset about it, you know, and it is offensive, and here's why. but also like in the post, the media really put a spin on it to make it seem as though he was kind of like condemning these boys and that they're racist. But I do believe that in this sense they were definitely ignorant. But what followed after that they pretty much bullied Sam into apologizing for being offended, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if somebody finds something offensive, especially if it comes to their race, culture, or heritage or anything, you should at least, you know, keep an ear out and listen to their point of view and try to understand why. So I think the problem that has happened here in Korea is that, you know, Sam was like, this is not right, I feel offended, but then Koreans are like, no, it's not, it's perfectly fine, it's cosplay, it's definitely not racist whatsoever. But it's like, how are you telling someone that they don't have a right to feel offended, or you're trying to tell them you don't have to be upset because it's definitely not racist, but you shouldn't even cosplay another person's race ever. You know, if I wanted to dress up as some sort of famous figure, there's other things that will, you know, bring attention to what you're doing. Like the boys, they looked perfectly fine. If I saw those boys, if I've known the meme beforehand and I saw those boys, I definitely would have understood what they were going for. You know, they had the coffin, they had the outfits, they had the glasses, they had the hats, everything was perfect. They had no reason to paint their faces. And I think that should have been the focus of his post, or the focus of the conversation, is that, hey, you don't need to be doing this. It's, you know, you might offend some people, or you will offend some people, you know, just be conscious of what you're doing. I definitely don't think that they had any intention of being racist whatsoever. Definitely not. But what I found saddening and actually surprising, I didn't really find the blackface surprising because, I mean, it's Korea. I don't know what else to say other than the fact that it's Korea. It's not surprising that they did the blackface. We've seen it before. It's not anything new. But what I did found surprising was all the hate comments that he got. You know, he was just getting a lot of hate. There's comments saying that, you know, go back to Ghana, calling him the N-word, telling him to go back and pick cotton, saying that he has no right to say, like, who are you? He has no right to talk about the education system here in Korea. Like, don't say that you're a Ghanaian Korean. Like, just trying to separate themselves from him, and like very racist comments. Those are racist comments. You know, telling someone to go pick cotton, telling someone to go back to their country, telling someone that you'll never be Korean. You know, that is definitely racist. And I think that we do need to label things as they are. So those comments directly, you know, attacking him strictly based on the color of his skin are definitely racist, and we just need to call it for what it is. And the boys and their photo, definitely ignorance, but the comments, definitely racism. And I think we need to just call things for what it is, because I think one of the issues here that lies in Korea is that for some reason Korea always gets like this pass. It's like there are things borderline ignorance and racism, you know, it's just a very thin line. And I think at the times when it does cross that ignorance and it's just like, okay, that's racism, we like to backtrack and be like, no, they don't know anything. I don't know, for some reason there seems to be like this odd perception that Korea is in the middle of nowhere and they don't know anything other than Korean culture and Korean things, which is not true at all. Like, you need to give them, you know, like, it's Korea, they're one of the most advanced countries. Like, that's not an excuse anymore. And at the same time, I'm not expecting Koreans to know about everyone's culture, about black culture. That's not what I'm saying. But I think at some point we need to hold people accountable for what they're doing and for what they're saying, and to educate them. So if someone says something, you need to call them out. If we just keep on letting it slide, they're never going to learn. So how can we expect them to learn if we don't call them out on it? And not call them out as in like cancel culture, no, but just call it out and be like, hey, you know what? You shouldn't do this because da 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 da. And look, here's the history of it. And this is why some people might feel like that. The same way if Koreans go abroad and they travel and they're like, this is not right. I feel like I'm being discriminated against because I'm Asian. You know, it's the same thing. And I feel like for some reason we like to give Koreans a pass on not calling them out and not giving them the opportunity to learn. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. That was just a little bit of what's been going on recently here in Korea, this big controversy with blackface and Korea's #1 black man, you know, famous personality here. And I think one of the good things to come from this is that this conversation is being, you know, is being held. This conversation is being talked about. This topic is being talked about. And, you know, with this, I hope that more information will be provided to Koreans and they can learn from it. And we can also learn as well of how to talk with each other in a polite way, in a friendly way, in a non-hostile environment. So that will be all for today's video. If you like this video, go ahead and press a thumbs up. We can also spread awareness. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and slap the subscribe button. You already done know what it is. It's your girl, Just Kim Me, and I'm out.